Hi, everybody. Quick note up at the top. There's put a brief content warning for a couple mentions of rape toward the end, is specifically referring to ongoing plot stuff happening. And another note, this was recorded before the Tuesday election, which is a little scary for me to even think about happening and not knowing what happens that day. We kind of mentioned it at the end of the episode, but I wanted to mention it up top, why we don't talk about it at all. So yeah, enjoy the rest of the episode. Hello and welcome in, all you O-Niners, PCHers, junior private detectives, prisoners on work release, Hearst College, whatever your mascots are, and damn those Sonoma State evildoers, to Life on Mars, the Veronica Mars Rewatch podcast, where we go through episode by episode. I'm Brenton.
And I'm Emily.
We're here to talk about Season 3, Episode 3, Wichita Linebacker. I'm like, I remembered it as I was going to grab my notes, and then I was like, nope, I got this. Did a head fake. A little preface.
When we were watching this yesterday, I was like, is this episode 3? And Brenton just yells back, Wichita
Linebacker.
And I was like, excuse me. Are you okay?
I was very clear.
Also, I wrote line baker in my notes.
That's much better. He's on the line and he's baking.
What's a line baker? What do you think he bakes?
I don't know. I'm trying to think what would be. So if you're like a line cook, then you're kind of like assembling different pieces. Mm-hmm. So it could be a similar thing for like baking. It's just like, okay, you've got to melt the butter and things over here. And then like this person's like mixing all the dry stuff.
Or like you're in charge of the pastry, but the next person does like the custard.
Totally. And then the expediter is the person that like mixes it. Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, that's actually probably...
That's what the expo actually does, is they check the trays to make sure they're pretty.
But who mixes the goods together? I guess just a third line baker. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so... Yeah, this is all in the episode. It's great. Yeah, I realized I don't know what Hearst College's mascot is.
I don't either.
Yeah, what do you think it would be?
The Fighting Irish.
Perfect. Taking off Notre Dame. I love it. And OC. I'm going to say two things to you right now.
Uh-huh.
I want to get your takes. 1, Trish did nothing wrong. 2, Piz is the best thing to happen to Hearst College Radio.
Piz is the best thing to happen to Veronica Mars.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of Mac, Avi.
Yeah. I completely agree.
I forgot how in love I was with Piz as a character until we got to like here.
Right. Why did I have like wishy-washy? Maybe it's later in the season that something happens, but I had like I was like, oh yeah, I found him charming, but. And then why did I ever have that but? I don't see it yet.
Yeah, I haven't found the but yet. I can't remember the but. Or if there was a but, or if it's just like, oh, like, you know, he's just in the way and like we're going to end up back with Logan. But I do remember the first time we watched the movie, like wondering if Piz would be in it. So like, I feel like we leave on a good note with him.
Yeah, totally.
But I could not tell you for the life of me.
No.
We'll unpack that as we travel through this.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah. No, and, you know, I think he's pretty great so far. Pretty fucking great. Even though he's barely in this episode. Love it. The inciting incident, I guess. But, you know, other than that.
I was looking to see if Hearst College's... mascot was on like a fan wiki, you know, something like that. Mm-hmm. I've yet to find it.
Yeah, I'm assuming maybe it's not brought up. There could not be one.
Apparently, the same Hearst College is mentioned in Moonlight, which is another television show that starred Jason Dohring.
Moonlight? Yeah. I don't know that at all.
I don't either.
Hence why I skipped over it when we went over his credits all that long time ago.
LiveJournal. Has anyone heard any mention of Hearst College's mascot?
LiveJournal.
I know.
Fantastic. I mean, that's this show though.
Don't think so. Is it even a real school? Not according to collegeboard.com. Oh God, someone looked it up. Oh, it's 2006.
Yeah, totally.
That's a cool icon. What is this conversation?
You know, people just get off track.
None. Rob Thomas made it up so Veronica could go to school in Neptune and live at home with Daddy Mars.
All right. Killjoy. Like, move on.
I imagine it to be a raccoon badger type thing. Just a hunch. Thank you, Podge, P-O-J-Z.
I also can imagine that.
For some reason, I also pictured it being a raccoon. I'm not sure why. Hornets?
Hornets?
Uh-huh.
Why?
I don't know. They didn't explain. They just put hornets.
Hornets. Interesting. I'm much more aligned with the badger raccoon.
It was 2006, so like let's put ourselves in this time.
Okay.
I feel like, what animal was big? Meerkats. Meerkat Manor, wasn't that a thing then?
Probably.
My
that
family
missed me.
watched a lot of Meerkat Manor for people who live nowhere near a place where meerkats reside.
Well, that's why it's exotic.
And like, because it was really the meerkats, they just like named them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was like they put a narrative over like just like animals they were already tracking.
Got it.
We got emotionally invested in these meerkats who like actually died and shit.
God.
Because like, they're just
life.
out there meerkatting.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that's streaming anywhere.
Yeah, probably. I'm sure you can find it.
If you know where Meerkat Manor is streaming, please send an email to marsrewatch@gmail.com.
Exactly.
Attention, Emily.
Meerkat Manor. They live.
But yeah. So we don't know, but I'm gonna say they're the fighting meerkats.
Perfect. Was Honey Badger? No.
Oh,
that
the
was
Hearst
later.
Honey Badgers.
Honey Badgers was later, I'd assume. That wasn't high school.
It was. It was when I still lived at home because Jim
Was
would
it-
call me and Eartha little honey badgers.
So this would be okay. So maybe
I think Eartha was
a-
the cat. Just for anyone who doesn't know. My stepfather
good
used
note.
to call me a honey badger because I didn't give a shit.
So this would have come out during my freshman year of high school.
I was in 8th grade. This year, I was Ariel in my dance recital of The Little Mermaid.
I
had an ongoing feud with another girl in my dance studio.
Nice.
And I had, a raging amount of hormones, I'm sure.
Yeah. I goofed off, made new friends, and started lacrosse in the spring with a emotionally volatile coach that would pick kids up and throw them and throw his stick into the stands when he got mad. That's probably... I also had my favorite teacher ever this year. So, yeah. Good year on the whole freshman year.
I was valedictorian, so...
Nice. I was nowhere near the top.
You have to think that my 8th grade class had 30 kids.
Gotcha.
So I had a 1 in 30 chance of being valedictorian.
Oh, I think this is also the year I had the geometry teacher that I think whose wife died, and I think he was suspected of murder.
What?
Not while I was in high school. This is post high school.
Wait, okay,
This is like in college.
But she died that year?
No.
Oh,
So
she died
yeah.
later, but you had
but I
that
had
geometry
this,
teacher.
Yeah. Strange.
What?
Yeah.
My geometry teacher's name was Mr. Dawson. I just remembered that out of the blue.
Oh.
He had an
Hi, Mr.
accent.
Dawson.
He had in Hanford, like, you didn't have people with accents. He had like a British accent or an Australian accent. I don't know. He was maybe German. Like, I couldn't tell you. It was European.
Quite the spread.
It was, in hindsight, I feel like it was British, but like at the time I would have had nothing to base that off of besides like, the occasional Beatles interviews I'd listened to.
I see.
I didn't have a lot of Harry Potter,
Oh.
but that was very mainstream,
Mm-hmm. Yes, the Beatles underground hits.
Have you heard of them?
Pretty big.
Oh, I thought they were just like a niche little group.
They invaded and they never left.
But enough about the British invasion.
I was gonna say.
I wonder if Piz will talk about it on his radio show.
Yeah, we never know. Well, no, his is current events. He's not really talking about music.
But can't you make the Beatles current events?
Stop trying to make Beatles happen.
Don't you dare tell my mother that.
No, they're old news.
Okay, so Wichita Linebaker.
10 out of 10. All the words correct.
My first, note, I I feel like my notes, like I should have printed a plot synopsis and put notes on it. Does that make sense? Maybe I need to start doing that.
I don't know. You can. I have like stopped trying to rely on the plot summaries that I've found on Wikipedia, and then also the Veronica Mars fan wiki. Like they're all over the place. And sometimes they just like excise character names. Like if it's like a guest character, they just won't put their name in there. It'll be like a girl.
Oh my God. Yeah, so my problem though is that I also, maybe they take notes like I do.
Possibly.
My first note is football is awful.
Yeah, so
Me too, Veronica.
We are introduced to an unknown football player who is being forced, we can assume from the dichotomy of this, run up and down the stairs. He's being put through a workout that looks like some sort of punishment because there's no one on the field. And the football coach is really yelling at him. You know, all the normal degrading things that you would try and yell at someone, usually something feminine, if you're in sports.
Sports are so toxic.
Yes.
For the most part, in general. Like, any competitiveness brings out the worst in people. Scarcity, fear. It makes people work harder. That's bullshit. That's not true.
Yeah, puts it on them too.
So, I hate football. I'm not a football fan. I will go on the record and say that I think football is bad.
Yeah, I watch football and I consume football, and I also believe that it's like a war crime on turf.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah,
it's bad.
Yeah.
What do you like about it?
It is a very tense and entertaining game to watch.
Couldn't you just watch soccer for that?
Soccer doesn't have the same sort of like. It's a completely different thing. I could watch soccer, but I
meant to fulfill the same feeling. That's what I was comparing, not the game itself.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I could get into Premier League, but then I have to get up really early.
So it's convenience that keeps you with football.
No, it's just a different game that you're watching because football is like flashes, while like soccer is like a sustained thing. So it's just different. Okay. Like basketball, you know, basketball is like very fast paced, and football is like. You're like working for yards.
I just feel like there's better things out there than football.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. But yeah, I am complicit.
Well, we'll work on that.
Totally. But if like someone was like, "Hey, Brenton, here's a vote. We're voting nationally to send football out to sea," and I'd be like, "Okay, yes." Or like we have to shut down football for the rest of your days, and it's like, yep, okay, bye-bye.
So you'd be willing to break up with it, but you're not going to go out of your way to end it.
You're
still going to consume it.
Yeah, I'll still like consume it, but if there's a momentum of ending it, then I would hop on board.
And that's Football Talks with Emily.
There you go.
We call that ball talk.
Yeah. Nothing can be misconstrued there.
I mean, you know, if you're in, you're in. If you're not, you're not. It doesn't matter.
Right. But Veronica is watching from afar, not watching this boy exercise, but is instead scoping out because she's reading the paper from the school where women protested at the game, and like did body paint and had signs that said, and what did the sign say? It was we're right here, like something about their bodies, and I'm completely messing it, but like protesting and trying to raise awareness for obviously the string of campus rapes going on.
Yes.
And Logan walks up, meets with her, and they both make some jokes at the protest, at the like newspaper article on the protesters, and we go, 18-year-olds suck. And then some girls walk past Logan and say hi to him and ask if he's going to come to the party, and he's like, maybe. And they're
like, you could bring your friend if you want. I would have pushed him down the bleachers. It would have been the end of Logan.
Yeah, no, I get it. Logan is not being great this season. On the one hand, we understand that he is in deep emotional turmoil right now and really not taking care of his mental health. And you can really tell that on screen because he looks fucking spent. But at the same time, come on, man. You can't be like can't be an asshole taking it out on other people.
No.
More on that later, but
Not your girlfriend, especially.
absolutely not.
And the girls he's like, oh, I know them from my weightlifting class. And she's like, oh, yeah, the only class you go to.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, I love the idea that these women are in weightlifting. I don't think those women are in weightlifting.
No. And yes. And then also Logan is like, oh, you're trying to like talk to me about real things. Deflect, deflect, deflect.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to class and I feel bad about it, but I can't wrap my head around that I feel horrible all the time because my life has been in utter turmoil for the past 2 years. So, yeah, I'm just going to like ghost you.
Yep. She's like, hey, do you want to go see these art shows or do these things? And he's like, why don't we just meet up at 10?
Yep. I have class until 10. And you can come over and yeah, we can have sex. She's like, cool, great. Thanks for the booty call.
Mm-hmm.
Class until 10. That's late.
People had labs did that all the time.
Yeah. Can't imagine Logan is in a science major.
But he might have been taking a science class.
That's true.
I don't know. I mean, also, like, every school's schedules are different.
That's true. And then it is later. I said it was late. And it is later corroborated that there was a class at that time.
Mm-hmm. And he is in it.
Yes.
So we have that. And then we go over to a car wash.
Mm-hmm.
And we're at the car wash.
Unfortunately, the song's not playing. It's not as fun.
No. And it doesn't seem like Weevil is happy to be there.
No. But Weevil's there, and we're happy.
You're always happy when Weevil's there.
Yes, exactly.
If you could, have an episode that was just Weevil plot, Wallace plot, you would be a very happy boy.
If
Veronica somehow tying between the two, but
yeah,
not their plots overlapping.
Mm-hmm. I think they could do. I don't know as much about Wallace because they have shown that they cannot really write Wallace a plot. But if they did one of those weird episodes where it's we just did a one-off where we focus on Weevil the entire time and Veronica pops up as the side character, that would work.
Mm-hmm. They could have done it with this episode.
Oh yeah, 100%. And damn, there's this glimpse of what if Weevil worked in Mars Investigation? We'll get to it, but it sucks.
It does.
Tragedy at the end.
But Weevil's working at Jumbo's car wash, and he doesn't like his boss because his boss is a racist. So I don't like his boss either.
Yeah, and taking advantage of him being on work release.
Yeah, so he's like, if you don't stay until this person gets here, even though you've worked an hour over what time you were supposed to be off, I'll fire you, and then you can go back to jail.
Yep.
And
yeah, it's fucked up.
It's fucked up. And then a little white girl pulls up in her car that her daddy bought her.
Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at this car. I'm like, that doesn't need a wash. So I thought there was ulterior motives for being there. Which
Maybe
I think
she just gets her car washed
all the time.
Or she's like, oh, my windshield's a little dirty. I'll just go take it through the car wash.
I was wondering if possibly she showed up there because she learned that Weevil worked there.
Oh, I assume so.
Yeah. Okay.
So she's like, hey, Weevil, what you doing? How's it going? And he's like, yeah, haven't seen you since I got arrested at graduation. Which would be a really awful way to end your high school career.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
no one arrested me at graduation.
No.
I don't even know if cops were there. Probably.
I'm sure they were around in the fringes.
I don't know. I feel like when the power went out during my brother's graduation because of the lightning storm, there were no cops around when I got ran over.
They were the first ones out.
Everyone had to evacuate, but the lights went out.
Right.
Have you ever evacuated a dark bowl with a bunch of old people? Because it's a graduation. This isn't the high school students are there. This is everyone's grandma, uncle, cousin. And then this woman who was in an electric chair kept ramming into the back of me and shoved me into a trash can. So I got stuck in between her chair and the trash can and a fence. And then the wind's blowing and trees are falling. And I was just
She mean mug you too? Do the eyes?
I don't know. It was dark.
Watch yourself.
I couldn't tell you if she did. I don't think she did it on purpose, but it was my Achilles isn't going to make it.
Later that night, Mom, why is there an old lady in a wheelchair on our front yard?
We had to go. All the graduates, they put them in the cafeteria or the basketball stadium. We had to go get David and then get in the car, and then a tree fell in front of us. It was really traumatic and dramatic.
Yeah, that's awful.
Hit a big storm.
That was really big.
I assumed that David graduating from high school meant that the world was ending. The aforementioned Eartha and I hid in a closet together for an hour or two.
He won his bet against the devil or something.
I guess, yeah. But yeah, so I don't remember how I got there. How did I get to being ran over?
You're talking about, I don't know how you got to, actually, I don't know how you got to being ran over, but Weevil is talking to Veronica at the car wash.
Oh, graduations.
Thank you.
There's a thread.
Yeah.
Albeit a thin one.
Yeah, I was like, crap, I don't know how we got there off of Weevil and Veronica either.
But I was like, it wasn't purely tangential.
No.
But Weevil's like, hey, I'll wash your car then. And he's like, and he's talking to her, and the boss comes out and he's like, hey, stop harassing that girl and, you know, like, do your job. And so then Weevil shoves him against the vending machine.
Yep, loses it, and he's like, yeah, I'll just call your parole officer, and Weevil breaks the glass and is like, fuck, I'm out.
Mm-hmm. Then Veronica gets a phone call that the dean wants to talk to her.
Yes.
Dean-a-ling-ling.
And also we learned that Weevil got from attempted murder down to aggravated assault.
Yes, which is a great plea.
Yeah. Then we go to Piz. Piz is making a pitch for a call-in show on the college radio.
It's Jon Stewart meets Crossfire. If Jon Stewart would go on Crossfire.
Yes. Great logline and very of the time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yes, I get all these references. Wow.
I know. I think
what
this was the last time I was really caught up on current events.
God, no. I'm... Yeah, there's a very specific lens that I was catching up on current events at that time, and that was a Comedy Central program back to back, with some other news peppering in. But like now, I'm like way more keyed in. The deluge of the internet.
I watched a lot of like regular news, and then we watched Jon Stewart and Colbert, the Colbert Report. My granny thought that Stephen Colbert was so funny. You know, he was very funny. But she just thought like satire was her jam. So she loved when he got someone on there and then kind of like messed with them. You know, like someone.
Yeah, like Bill O'Reilly went on multiple times. John Huckabee, I remember, was like a frequent guest.
That SOB. That was her yell.
100%. Pick either of them.
Yeah, her reviews of the the Republican talking heads did not change over time.
Mm-hmm.
She yelled that at Chris Matthews too. She wasn't necessarily party line.
Yeah, she is very much correct there as well.
But yeah, I was like, this is a good time. It was the only comedy we watched.
It was pretty good. I love the Colbert Report.
She thought it was hilarious.
And while he's making that pitch, the radio boss, as it were, Trish, her boyfriend, Kurt, let me double check that. I had forgot to write down the name. Yeah, Kurt, comes in and is wondering, or is like freaked out because he can't find his playbook that was in his gym bag. And
his backpack.
His backpack. And that he'll get kicked off the team.
Because they're not supposed to carry around their playbooks.
Exactly. So I'll briefly pause here to say you may notice who Kurt is. That is Armie Hammer, movie star extraordinaire at this point. But if you don't know Armie Hammer, you might know him from recent hit Call Me By Your Name. Or maybe The Social Network for playing both of the Winklevoss twins.
Interesting.
Yes. But yep, the man with the peach. And then
the peach.
Call Me By Your Name.
Oh.
But he doesn't do that. That's actually Timothée Chalamet.
I did not see this at all.
I know about the peach scene.
Got it.
Yeah, we did not watch it. And then the person who plays Trish, I was like, there's two people this episode, someone that comes up later that I was like, this person looks really familiar, so I looked up both of them, and only Trish is like, oh, okay, this is why I know her. Just a ton of TV, but she was on an Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode, I think, in the first season. I was like, oh, okay, I remember. She's played by Lindsay McKeon.
Ah.
Yeah. Like I said, ton of TV credits. But yeah, Always Sunny. And then we head over to the dean's office.
Dean Ling Ling Ling. Well, I guess that's not this show, but you know.
Mm-hmm. Played by another person that you may recognize, Ed Begley Jr., who is literally in fucking everything. So pick a show. Arrested Development, Late Dynamite, anything. Just pick anything. He's in it.
Got it.
You know? Don't you think? Like, he shows up in everything.
I never remember him.
Oh.
He's not memorable to me.
Oh, really? He's in all the Christopher Guest movies. That's another way.
I didn't even remember the dean. And, like, I know this is actually, like, a pretty decent-sized plot point until we got back to it.
Yeah, I didn't remember the dean either, but I recognize him from being in a million different things.
Yeah. I mean, I do, like, I could place him in all of the things as you mentioned them, but I would have never pulled them on my own.
Totally. He's in small roles. He's usually, like, a dad. Pineapple Express. There you go. There's another one.
I don't think I watched that.
You never saw that movie?
No.
Oh. I'm kind of surprised since you liked This Is the End so much.
Yeah, that was an anomaly, if you will. You know?
Yeah, I'm not saying we need to go out and watch Pineapple Express. It's fine, but
yeah, I missed that.
But the dean, he is ruthless and doesn't give two shits, and is just like, hey, Veronica, give up the name to the person, the teacher that was supplying marijuana seeds to the house mom, or I will kick you out of school.
Also, okay, first of all, in the last episode, everyone just kept saying that a botanist gave it to her.
The botany professor.
Oh, because I was like, it could be anyone.
No, they specifically said botany professor.
Well, then how many botany professors do you think they have at Hearst College in Southern California?
They told that to Veronica, but Veronica, I think in the story it said professor.
God, no, you should have said botanist.
There you go. Yeah.
Protect your sources.
Yeah, she also didn't write it.
Yeah. Well, we assume. Someone tells her good job on writing it. Was it him?
Yeah. No, it was one of the feminists.
Yeah. So she's like, I'm not giving up my source.
She gets a week not to be expelled and to give up the source.
But also she doesn't have any information. You know what I mean? Like, she can tell them who told her, but then, like, it's just the same.
Right. But she's not gonna, she doesn't want to give up any info.
Yeah. So then we cut over to Mr. My game plan was stolen out of my backpack.
Yes. Well, first Piz is pleading with Veronica to, he comes up because Veronica's now working at the info desk at the library. Mm-hmm. And pleads with her to come help him because he really wants to get the radio job, and he thinks he'll be able to get the radio job if you help the radio manager's boyfriend.
Which is smart.
Extremely.
So she's like, yeah, okay, I can help you for $500. And he's like, I thought that was the friend's rate. And she's like, well, it's my friend's a friend's rate. And so now I'm extending it to a friend, a friend, a friend. And I was like, we love this for
Fantastic. Yeah. No discounts.
So then they talk. He tells her, he's like, yeah, I had my bag on the whole night. I was in my friend Popovich's, is it Popovich?
Yeah. So first they go to the art fair on campus with him and Trish go. And then he goes back to his room and he's roommates with Brian Popovich. Who we can only think is no relation to Greg Popovich, the NBA coach.
Or Magnitude from Community, who goes pop pop.
Same.
But yeah, I thought that was a great name.
Yeah.
So then they're like, yeah, and then we played Guitar Hero. And they're like, yeah, man, isn't that a great game? And I'm like, man, it is a great game. There's a beat,
and Piz just looks at him and goes, Guitar Hero rocks. And he's like, yeah, man. It's like, oh, God.
And they play Smoke on the Water in the background. And then it's just, he's like, and then the cheerleaders brought popcorn for Pop.
Yeah, great.
What
is he? He's like
they're witty like that. Or
they're really clever like that. It's like, oh, you sweet boy.
Veronica's like, yeah.
Kurt's a simple folk from Kansas.
My favorite thing, it takes you back to like when Veronica was making the spirit boxes for Wallace.
Oh, mm-hmm.
And she's like, oh, oh, you silly boys. These sports are so important to you.
Right, exactly.
Little weirdos.
You can't fathom nothing else.
All you think about is your little ball.
Yeah, basically. All it is Bulk and Guitar Hero with you boys.
Ball Talk and Guitar Hero. That'll be our next podcast.
Exactly.
It's just my anti-sport manifesto.
Perfect.
Why I think classic rock is overrated.
Oh, God. Uh-oh.
I'm just kidding. I don't think classic rock is overrated.
We're taking dad rock down a peg.
Dad rock's going to be dud rock when I'm done with it. They're both palindromes.
Uh-huh. Good job.
Thank you. It's very proud of myself.
That is good. It's sincere.
Right. So let me go back to the Mars household.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah?
Wait, but first, we meet Dick roaming around with a 40.
In a paper bag.
Yeah, brown bagging it on campus. Another boy who's really going through it and is not doing anything about it. 18-year-olds, what can we say? And he's like, hey, like, and Veronica's like, aren't you supposed to be in class? And he's just like, nope, we had a walk.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, because the professor's not there in 15 minutes.
5 minutes is what Dick said.
Oh, 5 minutes.
I wrote that down because I was like, excuse.
I think Logan does later call this out.
I remember in high school, that was always a thing. It's like, if the teacher's not here in 15 minutes. And I'm like, we're in a locked campus.
We're not going anywhere.
Like, sure, we could. I mean, there were parts of that campus that were open because, like, the way the parking lot ran up to it. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, we could walk in front of the office to leave. But that seems like I'm just going to sit here quietly.
I always thought it was funny that you could walk through the office at my campus and they wouldn't stop you.
They never stopped me. But I always assumed that was just kind of like we trust her. She looks like she's walking with a purpose.
Got it. Yeah. Maybe if you were like a, quote unquote trouble kid, then like they would stop you, but otherwise like you could just walk right through there and they're like, adios. You must have a purpose. There's 4,000 kids here.
Yeah, we didn't have that many, so they knew me by name.
Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, and it's like, yeah, it was a walk. The professor didn't show up. And Veronica's like, well, my boyfriend's not here and he hasn't texted me. And Dick's like, well, yep, because he's banging other girls. Bye-bye.
Yep. And I'm like, yeah, that seems probably accurate. Thanks, Dick.
Yep. Thank you so much for all that you do, Dick. And then, yes, back to the Mars household.
And she's like, hey, Dad, hire Weevil. And he's like, Veronica, Eli Navarro has like a reputation that precedes him.
Mm-hmm. I have arrested the boy.
And she's like, yeah, Dad, he needs a job and like you need someone to help you. So he hires Weevil and he shows up for work in his little button down and his little tie. And I just love it.
It's fantastic. And the exchange of him as being a secretary, just extremely loud, but like covering the phone and they're not even on hold. Mm-hmm. Fantastic.
And just so like, what am I doing this right? I think I'm doing this right.
Mm-hmm. I could watch a spinoff of this.
Yes. The Adventures of Keith and Eli.
There you go. Spot on. I like it.
Weevil's World.
Yes. Weevil's World. That'd be episode 1.
Weevil's Investigations.
Yeah, that's a good one.
You'll hear 2 sounds. A little foreshadowing for you.
This is, so you've brought this up before, that this season is the season of weird VO.
Yes. So season 2 is really bad about it, but this one's even worse, where it's just like the worst voiceovers are done.
Yeah, it's so bananas. And especially in this scene, there's like
this whole episode.
Yeah, this episode's rotten with it. But yeah, there's a voiceover for Weevil in this scene that's just like, it doesn't match at all and is like completely like the volume's cranked to 11 when like the rest of the volume's in 8.
Yeah. It's a lot. Then we cut to Veronica sneaking into the athletic building because she's decided that instead of trying to figure out who has the pages, why doesn't she just print off new ones? Which is smart.
Yeah, totally.
And so she pretends to be an injured sport player. I don't know what sport she's dressed for.
Skirt would have me thinking field hockey.
They make you wear a skirt in field hockey?
I believe so.
That's awful. Why?
Well, you know, when I was creating the sport of field hockey.
Also,
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I really don't know anything about field hockey other than a friend of mine played it in high school. No, she didn't play it in high school. She had played it before high school, and I was always confused by it. So yeah, that's the end of that story. any insights gleaned?
Yeah. So she tries to sneak into the office of the coach to try to print new pages, and when she does, one of the players ends up coming in to talk to the coach while she was printing the print job, but the print job was moving really slowly, so it hadn't sent it to the printer yet because it's 2006. And
Classic.
She hides under the desk when they come in the room to talk. So then she continues to like hide there, but then the printer starts printing. So then the coach starts walking around the desk. So then she pops out and she's like, "Oh my God, haha, it was a sorority hazing thing where I need to steal a jock strap. So like, hi, can I borrow a jock strap?"
It's hard, you know. It's hard when you get caught.
But that's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
And she handles it really with like I need a jock strap, like the underwear thing. I thought that was a good cover.
Yeah.
Well, then they send her to the dean's office, and he's like, "You've got a really weird record going on here, Miss Mars. You got 2 days. Tell me who your source is."
Yep. Hey, give me longer, and the record will get even weirder.
And then in comes 2 boys and 2 ladies.
Yeah, the Lampoon, quote unquote. So they're doing a National Lampoon riff, which was in fact sexist. So do you know the Lampoon, National Lampoon?
Yes, but not, you know what I mean? Like I
in depth.
Yeah, exactly. Not something that I have perused.
Yes. Yeah. Understand.
Conceptually understand.
Yeah. Comedy paper. Started at high school and obviously spun out things. Gave us people like Harold Ramis and things that spun out into Animal House and all kinds of shit like that. But was a spoof paper on a college campus that was sexist and I think probably racist.
Oh, I'm sure. And then the feminist group, is it Lilith's House?
Maybe.
Is that what they call it? I think that's what I've written down. They're like talking to the dean because the Lampoon posted a really dumb like photo making fun of the protesters of like them that says like don't like what was something about like they should rape the blonde in the middle.
Yeah, it was like we wouldn't touch you or something like that except for the blonde in the middle.
And then the dean's like, "Well, I don't really give a fuck because someone hurt my car."
I'm a very self-centered dean.
And I think it was one of you because someone put pig on it. And, well, most of us reserve that word for cops. I understand that it's also used for men, especially in 2006.
Totally.
But so then Veronica's like, "I'm just going to go," and really weird voiceover. And,
yeah, weird VO again.
And then leaves while they fight it out. Then we go find Logan. And Veronica's like, "Hey, I heard your class was canceled and it was a walk." And Logan's like, "Dick just left." It wasn't necessarily over, which I'm like, fair.
Yep, absolutely fair.
And then he's like, "You can ask Madison Sinclair if I was there because she's in that class."
Right.
And I was like, "Of course she is."
Right, that sucks.
No, you're not allowed to take classes with Madison Sinclair.
Yeah, sounds good.
Nope. it's just problematic. She's problematic. The whole town's problematic. And I
Mhm.
know you couldn't take Veronica out of Neptune, but like, man, you just wish you could take Veronica out of Neptune.
Yeah, exactly. Or at least, yeah, just excise a few people.
So Veronica's like, well, this, I guess, suffices. I am no longer angry per se, but I am annoyed because you didn't call me at 10. You didn't even call me for my booty call.
Nope, you did nothing. And he tries to play it off as being a gentleman.
He's like, oh. Well, or it was like, oh, and like I didn't say for sure. I just like...
Yeah, starts the, like, gaslighting path of, like, oh, I could have.
Yeah. So then Veronica goes back to solving her mystery. And she goes into the bedroom of Trish.
Yeah, first she stops by Mac and Parker's room, and they are out together doing something. I just wanted to note that.
They were exercising.
Exercising, there you go. I just wanted to note that, and I'm like, all right, cool. They're doing good stuff together. And then runs into our, poor Kurt and Trish.
Yes. And then she goes with Trish and Kurt into Trish's room, and there's an oil painting on Trish's bed. With a note with an L on it.
Yep, of Trish.
Of Trish. And Kurt's like, what the hell? And she's like, oh, it's definitely from Larry. Which I'm like, yeah, there's an L on it.
Who could it be?
And she's like, I told you that we dated. And he's like, yeah, but like, I didn't think he was breaking into your room to leave oil paintings. Which is like a very fair assessment. I don't blame
100%.
Kurt for this at all.
Nope, you were in the... Kurt, for his faults, does not seem like a bad person.
I don't think Kurt really has any faults except not advocating for himself.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. There you go. Summed it up.
Thank you. I've spent a lot of time working with people. Let me diagnose you, fictional person.
Right. Kurt. You don't need to go back to Kansas.
You're not in Kansas anymore, Kurt.
Perfect.
Squish you, wicked witch.
Oh, of Self-Doubt.
Yeah.
Ah.
It's a twister. It's a twister.
Drop a house on it.
Uh-huh. Drop a house on it. That's what I always say. If it's bothering you, drop a house on it.
Yeah. I mean, let's squash this. Drop a house on it.
Exactly. But yeah, so Art Show Larry left a painting in her room, and we're like, maybe Art Show Larry took the I wrote his name always as Art Show Larry.
I did too.
Wait, that's so funny.
Yep, Art Show Larry. ASL.
God, age, sex, location. That's what it was on. Like
MASH?
Or like any sort of like chat room.
Oh, right. A/S/L.
Mm-hmm. So then we get a really fun scene of Weevil working with Keith.
Yep, he's got a nose for this detective work.
Yeah, he's looking at some photos, and he's like, I was on a stakeout for you, and at first I thought, it's pretty obvious it's this guy. But then I kept watching it, and it looks like it's this guy, because this box looks like he's stealing shoes.
Mm-hmm.
That's my summary.
Pretty much. It's like, yeah, that's exactly it. He's stealing.
Yeah, he's stealing. And Keith is like, Eli, that's some fine detective work. And he's like, go home and sleep, and then I'm going to send you on another stakeout. And he's like, I'd go now. And he's like, no. I need you to watch. We think someone is abusing. The grandparents think that the mother of their grandchildren is abusing them, and their son died in a car accident. Mm-hmm. So I need you to go watch. And Weevil's like, okay, I will go to bed, and then I will do this.
Off to bed.
Veronica goes to visit Larry. And
the VO is off the charts.
And Larry's like, I'm not doing anything. I'm just a painter. That's basically the summary of the scene.
Holds up his hands. He's got paint on his hands. And Veronica's like, runs back to Kurt. And is like, Kurt, let me see your backpack. Let me see if we can get any paint on it. If there's any paint on it, because it would have been paint, because this man paints. She does not find no paint.
But what does she find?
A popcorn.
A pop.
Damn you, Pop.
So now we're like, maybe it was Pop. Maybe Pop stole them.
Uh-huh.
So then Veronica calls Logan.
Right? Veronica misses a call from Logan and gets some weird ass voicemail where there's like a bunch of noise in the background and like women talking. And she's like,
This is sus.
Yeah.
So she goes to find Logan. She has a tracker on his phone, which was very easy at that time. My mother had a tracker on my phone at that time.
Yeah, seems very easy, but they make a point of like really spelling out that she put a tracker on his phone.
No, she activated the tracker because
activated.
every phone has a tracker.
There you go.
So Veronica goes, she activated it. She goes and finds Logan gambling.
Yep. It's at
Mercer's room.
Yes. It's like the upgraded version. It's like if Logan's room from Gilmore Girls had like 4 tables.
Well, and it'd be like if Logan's room from Gilmore Girls didn't have like rich white boys. I mean, like Logan's rich and like some, but it seems like this is like a more like a melding pot.
True.
Whereas like Logan's just, it's like his 5 friends and like an actual blackjack dealer.
Right. You're very right.
The wealthy.
This is the West Coast version.
Yeah. This is not an East Coast trust fund. This is a new money party.
New money Mercer.
New money Mercer. We don't know.
Yeah.
Mercer's an asshole.
Oh God, Mercer's the fucking worst. I thought he like from just the look of him, I'm like, oh, I wonder if he was like part of like Logan's crew at some point, just like a background person at first, from Gilmore Girls.
Yeah,
Logan.
if he was like Colin or like a Colin-esque character.
Yeah. But then I looked up his credits. I'm like, nope, I don't know this person from anywhere. He just
I
kind of
know.
looks like him.
He just looks like a white dude.
Yep. But yeah, New Money Mercer immediately endears us by making fun of someone who's trying to bet on the game and has a stutter.
Yeah, he's trying to bet on the game. He's asking if there's a spread on the game with Hearst and Sonoma State.
Mm-hmm. Lots of talk of Sonoma State in this, that they're like this good football program. Is
Sonoma State real?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, see, there you go. I haven't heard of their football team. You haven't heard of the school.
In their defense, I had a very limited view of what schools I was planning on going to and what they looked like.
There you go. Yeah. It's in the name, state school.
Yeah. I had nothing. Well, yeah. I guess I really didn't research a lot of state schools.
Yeah.
I went UC.
Places like that where it wasn't like one of the bigger named state schools, I guess, like ones that you would know more of. I just didn't like bother like looking into.
Yeah. Or like proximity. Because then I was like, well, if I'm going to have to go, if I can't go to a UC, then I might as well be close to home.
Totally.
And save money and then transfer.
Yeah. I'm curious if they have like UC Davis, like a viniculture or something like that, since it's located in wine country.
No, the only 2 schools that do in California, from what I remember, are Cal Poly SLO and UC Davis.
Oh, okay. Never mind then.
Because I looked into that, not because I wanted to study viniculture.
Right, you're just like,
oh no, Fresno State. Fresno State has it. I don't know if UC Davis has viniculture. Do you know that for sure?
No, I don't.
I think it's
that just came from the gut.
I'm not positive, and obviously it's not a very important fact.
Yeah, just curious. But yeah, they talk about it a lot in this episode. I mean, they're playing them, but it seems strange. Also, Hearst College doesn't seem like it would be like a big football school, but whatever. And Logan also apparently catching some of Mercer's assholishness is being indignant and mean about Veronica tracking him down to the poker room, even though, you know, it's Veronica and he didn't call her back. So what the fuck did you think was going to happen, dude? You get into like some stupid shit and decides in turn to just be mean as hell and gaslight her and storm off. Like it's her problem, not his.
The only 2 4-year schools that have viticulture major are Cal Poly SLO and Fresno State.
Okay, yeah. So I had it wrong. I don't know what I was thinking. UC Davis. I mean, UC Davis has like ag, but
yeah. No, I mean, I'm sure they have something adjacent. You know.
Yeah. Beer brewing.
But having grown up near Fresno State, I know that they brag about a handful of things, because
that is cool though.
Yeah, no, it's really cool, and actually, I've heard the wine is really good. I've never tried it.
Oh yeah.
Maybe when everything's safe again, we can go wine tasting at Fresno State.
There you go. I mean, you had mentioned about possibly getting it, but I think it just wasn't at the market in your. There's not. It might have been like sold out.
We were at Whole Foods in Fresno and we couldn't find any.
There you go.
But a bunch of schools have 2-year degrees on it, like in that area. So like Santa Rosa and stuff like that. Like,
oh, okay.
If that makes sense, like that you can do like the prereqs for a major like that.
Right, to kind of get in.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, and that's like right in the area.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Logan being a dickhead.
Yeah, he makes a 1984 reference.
Yes.
He's brooding.
Uh-huh. And yeah, just being an ass.
He gaslights.
Totally. And I hate that. And I want to be empathetic because, he's been through this shit, but, like, being an asshole.
He's being an asshole. You can have a lot of trauma and even not handle things in a way that's necessarily ideal and still not be a horrible person.
Mm-hmm.
There are many ways to approach a situation, and they pick the best or the worst for Logan, and that is it.
Yeah, that
He
is
never
absolutely true.
Gets a middle.
No. Polar opposite the person.
Yep.
But then we're back at Mars Investigations, and back at home, and we get some bad news.
You want to break the news to him?
Yeah.
You should.
Weevil lost it on the job. He was staking out the abusive situation, saw that the stepdad was beating the kids, and beat the stepdad. So, hence your, 2.
2 hits.
Yep. And lawyers were getting involved, and the grandparents that were trying to get custody of the kids are no longer going to be able to.
Which doesn't make any sense because...
I don't either.
But whatever.
Maybe because of hiring the investigators?
Yeah, but that doesn't... I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. But Veronica goes and breaks the news to him. She said she asked to break the news, but something tells me that Keith is delegating, and I'm not happy with him about that.
Yeah.
I know she brought him in, but, like, come on, Keith.
Yeah.
And, tells Weevil, like, hey, like, you're going to be fired pretty much, and Weevil's upset about it. But Veronica's like, well, I do have something for you. Can you still, like, get your cousin's, like, car tools? Can you fix this car?
Yeah, you can make $2,000 for fixing the Dean's car.
Yep, exactly. And then, so Veronica sent a blackmail email to Pop to try and get him to pop with the truth.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I couldn't make it work. I tried.
That was corny.
Yeah. Oh.
Woo-hoo!
Dog pound.
I'm winning on the puns tonight.
Check the scoreboard. Popovich comes down and he's like, talks to her about it. It's like, yeah, I was supposed to check out this book. She's like, oh, I told you to check that out. And then
it's a telltale heart because she makes
yeah.
a bunch of Poe jokes and it makes me laugh.
That is a very good catch.
Yes.
And he is like, oh yeah, I didn't think it would be such a big deal borrowing his homework. And she's like, excuse?
And he hands her his philosophy paper.
Uh-huh.
Which you can't, excuse me, who's plagiarizing a philosophy paper? Like, that's the one place you're going to get caught.
100%. And it's just like, oh yeah, like, sorry, I thought this was like a cool thing. Thought it'd be okay. And
he's like, yeah, she's like, do you have any other details about that night? And he's like, yeah, we were playing Guitar Hero. We were there until his girlfriend came in.
Mm-hmm.
Then I left, or they left, or whatever.
Yep. So it's like, aha, Trish stole the playbook.
So then Veronica goes to go talk to Trish, but before she gets there, she sees Piz, and he's like, I got my show. And she's like, good, because I'm about to piss off your boss.
Oh, thank God.
So Veronica's like, Trish, yeah, I heard that that Kurt turned himself in, and they're making him run the stairs, and they're just like being real awful to him and all this. And she's like, they didn't kick him off the team. She's like, no, they're just like gonna like bully him basically.
Mm-hmm.
And so then within a few minutes, Trish is like,
Gotta go.
I gotta go. So she goes to her room and she's like, hey, actually I stole the playbook. And Veronica's like, yeah, I know.
So
and
cough it up.
She's like, but it's not here. And so it had been taken from her room.
Yeah.
And so then we realize that Larry has the playbook.
Exactly. And Trish had taken the playbook originally because they completely mistreat him on the team. And they're like, she's like, they're going to break his body. And like, that's not worth it. They're just going to chew him up and spit him out. And it's like, yes, they are going to. This is very insightful, Trish. And you were completely 100% right. You did nothing wrong. I applaud you.
Well, she And she had looked into like financial aid for him and like already applied for grants for him and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So like you knew he would get his school paid for.
Yes.
I will say though the stealing like this
It's not good doing this sneakily.
yeah. I applaud her motive, but I wish she had approached it in a different way.
Yes. I agree. But she did nothing wrong. She did nothing wrong.
I mean, she stole his playbook.
I know.
He's gonna get in trouble. It's giving him a lot of anxiety.
True.
If you were doing something and you did it because you loved it, even though it was awful for you, and I took away something so that then you like, say it was hockey,
no, it's
and then I took away your sticks,
mm-hmm.
and I was like, man, someone must have robbed you. And then you spent $500 looking for your sticks, which is stupid. You could just buy new sticks.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
You'd be mad.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even though I was like, yeah, but Brenton, every time you ice skate, your feet bleed.
I don't care if my toes don't all point in the same direction.
Don't care if I don't have all my toes. As someone who did a sport that really hurt their body, I would have I remember going to the doctor for my ankle when I was doing point, and they're like, yeah, you should probably quit dancing. And I was like, okay, and what's the other option? And they're like, well, you should at least like not do point. I'm like, and what's the other option? Because it's like you don't want to hear it.
Yeah, totally.
And you're obstinate, and you love, even if you're not planning on doing it professionally, like you love doing the thing that you're doing.
Totally.
And so if someone who you love and trust took that away from you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I am being facetious. But like, exactly. I get her motives, but like, because that is exactly the MO of like college football. We kind of spit you out and then you go find a career somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
But it is the exact wrong way to go about it, because Kurt obviously loves the game.
Now, if she got the whole football team shut down, I support her.
There you go. Threw a brick through the window. I don't know.
You think they shut down football teams after one brick?
Yep, she threw a brick into the field.
During the game?
They were like, we can't do this anymore.
Who let her in with a brick?
Bricks are coming out. They don't search her.
How does she walk in and like, what are you just sitting in what if you missed?
Yeah. Well, sucks.
Took out someone's grandparents.
Exactly. Hit a kid.
God.
But they figure out that it's Art Show Larry. So then they go to Art Show Larry's house. Kurt tackles Larry. You know, he's on he plays offense, but you know, knows how to tackle. And starts what I think
I know how to tackle. I don't necessarily think you have to be in
great
football.
form. He starts saying you're going to be in a world of hurt, Larry, and I couldn't tell if that was a Big Lebowski reference or not.
I don't know.
Yeah, it seemed like kind of on the news. But then Art Show Larry's roommate comes home and is just like, it's under the couch. We were going to give it to Sonoma State and bet against Hearst.
We did give it to Sonoma State.
Oh, we did, I think. Thank you.
And we did bet against Hearst because it's the guy who stuttered who Mercer made fun of at his party.
Yes.
So we get the playbook back. And then we cut over to Weevil working on the Deanling's car. And he's like, man, he's got a cool car for a weird dean, basically.
Yep, an old dude.
He's got this this CD in the thing.
Yeah, it's great music.
What's the CD?
The Transplants.
Who are they?
Some local band, I think.
Cool. Veronica's like, very interesting. I don't see the dean listening to this. So she goes to the dean and she's like, hey, getting your car fixed. You can get your car fixed for free, I think it is, something like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But if you give me an exchange because now you owe me. She's like, I think I know who did this and I can solve this issue you have between the Lampoon and the Lilith House girls for right now about your car in specific. Because I don't think either one of them did it. It was your son. He took your car because he is 15 and he wanted to go to this local concert, and then he dented it. So then he beat it up real bad and spray painted it.
Is well aware of the happenings at Hearst.
Yes. And he's like, he made it look like the feminist group did it. And then she's like, also, you're going to hire my friend Weevil to fix your air conditioning.
And the Dean is blown away.
Literally, because then Weevil fixes the air conditioning.
Perfect.
At the end of Veronica and Logan's last fight, he had said, hey, I'm going to Mexico with the boys.
Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, I missed that.
Logan,
yeah, with Dick and Mercer. Yeah.
Are going to Mexico. They're going to go surfing. And so Veronica sees Mercer in the cafeteria thing. And she's like, hey, have fun in Mexico surfing. And he's like, we're not surfing. I don't even know how to surf. And she's like,
yeah. And he's like, yeah, we'll be doing something, but not surfing.
And so then Veronica's like, well, I should probably put a tracker in Logan's car.
Yeah, fuck this. I'm tracking him.
Which is strange to me only because, like, knowing where he is, where he's parked, doesn't change anything about the fact that he's in Mexico.
Right, exactly. He lied to you about what he's going to do in Mexico, and he's going to Mexico. You know where he's going to be.
Yeah. He's going to be in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
What's he doing? We can't determine that with the tracker.
Yeah, not good.
So then she goes to talk to Trish, and Trish is like, hey, Kurt packed his bags and left because
drove back to Kansas.
He turned himself into the football team because he didn't want them to lose to Sonoma State because of him. He drove his little Kansas self.
Little sad heart.
Yeah. And she's like, yeah, I had everything lined up for him to stay, but he just needs space. And like, she's like, I love him so much, I just blew it. And Veronica's like, oh God, I don't want to blow it on Logan.
Yeah, I feel, you can let me know if I'm wrong, but I feel like the show is trying to say like, oh, these women, they're crazy when, you know, they just love their man too much.
Mm-hmm. Taylor Swift has a whole album about this. It's called 1989. It's followed up by Reputation.
Okay.
Both of them. It's specifically Blank Space. It is a song on 1989 that is all about how the media portrays her as crazy. So she's like, what if I wrote from this character?
Ah, there you go.
And that is what women have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because my whole life, I was told by many different men that I was crazy for things that they did.
Yeah.
And I would be like,
and that's this episode.
I'm not lying, or I'm not going to fight with you and tell you that I'm not crazy, because I would never claim that in my wildest dreams. But you're not sane either, motherfucker.
Hell no.
No. So because of this, though, Veronica pulls the tracker out of the car. She doesn't get caught. I was like real tense that she was going to get caught.
Yeah, me too, because of the music they play over it. It's kind of like, oh, it's like a timer. She got to go.
And then we see the dean sitting in his office. The cool air blows on him. The AC is on. And Weevil's like, hey, boss, how do you like them apples? It's not what he says, but it's what it feels like.
That's exactly what it is.
It feels like the end of like an early 2000s like teen movie.
Yeah. I was going to say, with
Thanks,
how
boss.
He's well on his way to his Guild Will hunting moment, though, because he's working at the college. He's on he's a mechanical staff.
Then we go over. So Piz's radio show takes place in this space that is in between the library and where they eat. And I know this because both scenes have been filmed showing this room from both ends.
Yeah. So in hockey, there's a box that's like on the ice. And it's like this little box, and it only fits like one person, and this is where the sideline reporter sits. So it'll pan, and there's this man that'll be there just with like a microphone and a suit in this little box on the side of the rink, and that's exactly what this looks like.
And so Piz is like, you know what? We're doing my first radio show tonight, and we want to talk about the First Amendment. We're going to talk about freedom of speech. So I've got the women from the Lilith House and the men from the Lampoon.
Yeah.
And then he flips a coin and it lands heads up. So he says, landed on a misogynistic male. So the Lampoon will go first.
A white slave owner.
A white slave owner.
Uh-huh.
I just love it. I love Piz. I love it.
Yeah. When that popped out, I was like, this is amazing.
And then, of course, they're already fighting with each other, the Lilith House and the Lampoon. And then mid-show, they get a text that the blonde from the middle in their photo had been raped.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not cool, man.
Yeah. More on that in the future, I'm sure. Looking forward to it.
We move back to Veronica, who is working at the reference dance, and someone walks up and asks her for Jack London and mercury poison.
Yeah. It's like, oh,
like floor 6, aisle 2 or whatever.
Yeah,
And I'm just like, you memorized it that quickly?
Yeah, mercury poisoning. Yeah, I do remember reading a lot on that.
Why? And then Logan comes in and he's like, I'm not going to apologize, but I'm apologizing.
Yeah. I'm not apologizing, but I am here, and shouldn't this be enough that I didn't go with the boys to Mexico and I don't have the facilities to actually say I'm sorry, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to let you talk. I'm going to let you say how awful you feel for trying to track me and trying to pin me down, quote unquote, while I'm not talking to you or being communicative, and I will take that apology and I will say, hey, look at how nice it is that I'm here and I want to spend time with you. Shouldn't we go to on a date this weekend?
And I don't even think Mercer knows how to surf.
Yep. Womp womp.
So yeah, we end with that.
Yeah, and Veronica's happy, and they go wander away to go make out
on the dark top floor.
Yep. Womp womp.
Yeah. I loved Logan, but now I feel like I don't.
Yeah, it's a very rough season for Logan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Indeed.
all the mental issues are coming home to roost, and he's just acting like an asshole.
I have this theory that maybe because everyone loved Logan, like they wanted Logan with Veronica, like the writers intentionally made him awful so that like people would stop doing that because they hated the fans. They're like, they hate women. They're probably just because they hate women.
There you go. Yeah.
So that's my summary.
Yeah. I will say, with all the shit happening in this season, I have still been really enjoying it. I've been enjoying it more than I have season 2. And I'm trying to figure out why, because there's a lot of red flags.
I hate season 2.
Yeah. And I think it's maybe because this is like a little bit more
new characters.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You get new characters, which is fun. It's not as tied down, I guess, to the stuff from season 2 and 1 as much, where season 2 is all about. And season 2's obviously the the big mystery being a rape case is like a really big red flag, but like it hasn't like really dove into the way that like a literal bus crash does.
Yeah.
So you can kind of enjoy the moment to moment a little better.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm enjoying this on the whole better. So I've been liking it, even if it's a little rough.
It is. I mean, and it's going to be because 2006.
I guess so.
Was a problem. It was a problem.
Mid 2000s, we'll just label it.
I mean, really anything. We've got lots of problems as a society, as a people.
Yeah.
Which reminds me, vote. And if you haven't voted and you're planning on mailing in your vote, please drop off your ballot or vote in person.
So this is going up after the election.
Oh, is it Thursday?
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought this one went on Wednesday.
Nope.
Had it backwards.
But either way.
I hope you voted.
Yeah. Hopefully we're all feeling better.
Yeah.
Maybe I might put a thing up at the front of this episode, maybe.
Of just like if the election went poorly, I'm sending you lots of loves. If the election went really well, I'm sending you lots of love.
Yeah. So you'll be hearing a repeat in this moment.
Yeah. Fingers crossed, my friends. I voted.
Totally.
You voted. We all voted.
Yep.
I'm proud of you for voting, and we're going to make the world a better place. And we have to have optimism, but we also have to be realistic. But optimism is important, so do not get discouraged and do not fall for those traps. And do not let white men gaslight you. In general, period, stop, full stop. Or white women. You know what? No one's allowed to gaslight you. This is 2020, motherfuckers.
Totally.
That being said, plugs?
Plug it up.
You can find me at butreallythough.com. Though is spelled THO. I am a life and career coach. I help people figure out what they want. I help them make plans to get it. I help people build their confidence at work, outside of work, in relation to work, not in relation to work, whenever, wherever we're meant to be together.
I'll be there. You'll be here. Because we need to keep 6 feet apart.
Yeah, exactly. We'll actually be virtual. All my sessions are virtual. That's a good point. You don't have to see me in person. I don't have to see you in person. I don't even care if you don't turn your camera on. That's entirely up to you.
Yeah.
You do you. But yeah, so you can find all of my coaching details there. You can also find coaching information on my Instagram, but really though, BTRLYTHO. I also sometimes just post photos of our dog. You know, we post a little about this podcast over there. Whatever, whenever, once again. And you can find us on our other podcast, but really though, spelled THO. And it's a variety podcast. We talk and we share, and we usually do some sort of little like study session or book report, and then we share it with each other. Sometimes it's fact, sometimes it's fiction, sometimes it's happy stories, sometimes it's weird things, and sometimes it's ghosties.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to check that out, we would be so obliged.
Yeah. You can find this podcast on Twitter and Facebook at Mars Rewatch. You can send us an email at marsrewatch@gmail.com. And you can find me on Twitter at Pyle Brenton. That's PYLEBRENTON.
All right. Stay toasted, marshmallows, and stay optimistic. And we got this.
Yes, we shall see you